A fact that all of us must be very, very proud of is that the Indian film industry is the larger producer of cinema across the world and also the second oldest in the world. But it is also true that because of the pandemic and the subsequent lockdowns, the box office prospects of our cinema industry was severely impacted. But then there is good news, which is the fabulous recovery rate of regional cinema, particularly South Indian cinema, which has been most impressive. Hello, my name is Sudha and you're watching India Ahead Digital. Films in regional languages such as Marathi, Telugu, Tamil and Malayalam did superbly well at the box office, and I'm speaking about post the COVID wave and while we were in the lockdown, whereas big Bollywood films which were released as recently as Diwali did not do that well. We'll focus on the South Indian films in a bit, but a special mention needs to be made of the Marathi film Jimma, which made 5.83 crores within the first 2 weeks of its release. And also remember, there was a 50% cap in Maharashtra. And let's not forget, Jimma was up for a very tough competition with big Bollywood films such as Suryavanshi and Antim, The Final Truth. Let's now turn our focus to South Indian cinema. There is no doubt that the cinema and the stars of the South are way, way bigger than their counterparts in Bollywood. Where do you find fan clubs so huge like you do in the South? In the North, the phenomenon doesn't even exist for stars such as Rajinikanth, Prabhas and Vijay. And talking of Vijay, there is no doubt, and this happened in the midst of the pandemic, when his film Master released, it crossed a whopping 50 crores worldwide on its opening day. The other little nugget is that the South has a huge culture of theatre going. You know, that is also one reason that regional cinema, particularly South Indian cinema, could get back on its feet faster than its northern counterpart. Did you know that South India has large numbers of cinema theatres? I mean, what is also called colloquially halls. And the other factor is that theatre owners enjoy a very cordial and understanding relationship with distributors and producers who do not charge them hefty minimum guarantees to play the movies. According to trade analysts, there is yet another phenomenon which is very unique to the South. It is called revenge viewing. So what happens is, if somebody has gone to see a film, then others will go and watch the same film in theatres, and sometimes it could also be repeat viewings. For instance, Manade, the Tamil science fiction film which released last month, did really well because of word of mouth. I've seen it, have you? And therefore people go and watch the film. And remember, Manadu released when Chennai was hit by severe floods recently. Look at the Malayalam film Janeman. It started with just one show, but very quickly it went to show 4 shows. And of course, the recent success Kurup, which starred Dulquer Salman, grossed 50 crores within the first week of its release. And remember, there was a 50% cap as well in Kerala, obviously due to the pandemic. Apart from the fact that South Indian cinema has these huge fan clubs and lots of cinema theatres, there is one fact which all of us have to accept. Most of these films have compelling storylines, visual aesthetics and a star cast which elevates the film to a level which is incomparable in any other language. There was a time when there was a clear demarcation. This is a Tamil film, this is a Malayalam film, this is a Kannada film, and this is a Hindi film. And you know, they both could not understand each other's languages unless the film was a remake. But that barrier was broken. Today, South Indian films do extremely well in Hindi-speaking markets also. And guess where it all started? But of course, with Bahubali. And guess where it all began? But of course, with Bahubali the beginning, which made 100 crores in the Hindi markets. And then came the sequel, Bahubali 2, which proved that a movie can be a success theatrically and not really depend on satellite channels. Also, the film's success in the Hindi-speaking markets proved that it opened up several new revenue streams to dazzle its audiences. From Allu Arjun-Rashmika's starer Pushpa the Rise to Pawan Kalyan's Vakeel Saab, it's a fact that South Indian films have become the flag bearers for 2021. The success and the traction of Pushpa the Rise has been such that despite the fact that the producers and the directors did not spend too much money on creating this hype and marketing gigs, the film has done extremely well in the Hindi-speaking market as well. The good news is that the makers of Pushpa have already announced a sequel to Allu Arjun's great success, the movie being Pushpa the Rise. The next big film is of course RRR, which is slated to release on 7 January 2022. The film has a huge star cast, but look at the mix. It's a very interesting mix. It has Junior NTR, it has Ram Charan, it has Shriya Saran, and it has Alia Bhatt and Ajay Devgan. So a mix of South Indian big stars as well as North Indian stars. And guess what? It's going to release in several languages: Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam and Hindi. Let's not forget, the focus is also on Hindi. And from the maker of the super successful Bahubali, Rajamouli. There's no doubt that South Indian cinema will lead the pack in 2022 as well and will make 50% of the money which is earned at the box office. Can you imagine that? That is clearly reversing the earlier trend where the Bollywood films used to lead the pack. Hindi cinema, on the other hand, seems that it requires a little bit of push. Of course, we saw Suryavanshi, but perhaps it could have done better. So therefore, now all hopes are pinned on Kabir Khan's 83, starring Ranveer Singh. But even as the year is coming to an end, the headline is that the South Indian cinema has surged several miles ahead of North Indian cinema, both in terms of box office collections as well as aesthetic value.